This is a Mountain News Special Report, 2015, the year in review. From our studios in Hazard, here's Steve Hensley.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Mountain News, 2015, the year in review. During the next half hour, we'll look back at some of the stories that affected our lives, touched our hearts, and made us laugh and cry. Our top story of the year, the weather. From the biggest snowstorm we've had in years to deadly flash flooding. It was a busy year for our weather team. Chief Meteorologist Shane Smith has our look back.
We saw this several times in 2015 on WYMT Severe Weather Alert Days. The year featured 4 storm systems that prompted federal disaster declarations in their wake. To say it was an active year in the Sky Alert Weather Center, well, that's just an understatement. And it all started back in February.
Says the county garage mobilized a fleet
on February
of 9
16th,
trucks.
We saw one of the heaviest snowfalls in more than a decade, as most of the region picked up close to a foot of snow. This was followed by the worst cold we had seen in 20 years, as temperatures plunged to between 5 to 20 degrees below zero on the morning of February 20th.
Tonight, our attention turns to the after effects. As the snow melted today, creeks rose.
Then a very complex winter storm started on the evening of the 20th and continued into the 21st. Started with snow that quickly turned to freezing rain for most of the region. However, the warm air didn't cross Pine Mountain and led to heavy wet snow for much of Bell, Harlan, and parts of Letcher counties. This caused roof collapses at several businesses in Harlan and Bell counties, including a hangar at the airport in Harlan. We also saw the second recorded instance of ice jam river flooding in eastern Kentucky.
We believe this is going to be the biggest crest of the North Fork of the Kentucky River since...
The next big event came on March 3rd as heavy rains led to the worst river flooding in a decade. 2 to 3 inches of rain combined with melting snow to create the flood conditions. The Cumberland River in Pineville experienced its 3rd highest crest ever and the highest crest since 2002. The system ended with 4 to 8 inches of fresh, wet snow.
Mother Nature left behind a mess for one Floyd County community. A mudslide continues to run.
This led to heavy rain, flooding, and mudslides in April. Some locations in eastern Kentucky picked up more than 5 inches of rain. A woman died in Lee County after she tried to drive through a flooded road.
People are still in shock here as they rummage through what's left of their home. Right now, they're just...
The final big event of the year came with 3 rounds of strong wind and heavy rain on July 13th and 14th. More than 5 inches of rain fell in an hour in the community of Flat Gap on July 13th, leading to major flash flooding. 4 people died in the flooding, and more than 100 families were left homeless. WYMT teamed up with the band Sunday Best to raise money for flood victims in Johnson County. Around $50,000 was raised by the event.
I was born here in Kentucky. It's where my soul will rest in peace. I've been all around this world. There's no place I'd rather be. I want to go home, and I get a little...
We broke some record high temperatures in December. Will the mild weather continue into 2016? Stay tuned. For the Year in Review, I'm Chief Meteorologist Shane Smith.
Lots of memorable moments, Shane. Thank you very much. Well, at the beginning of the year, most people had never heard of Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis or Harlan County singer Jordan Smith. But by the end of the year, they were household names across the country. Here's a look back at some of the biggest Kentucky stories in 2015. The name Kim Davis was heard on many of our newscasts in 2015. Following the U.S. Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide, a few county clerks in Kentucky refused to issue licenses. Davis was one of them, and a federal judge sent her to jail for a few days during the legal uproar. On the day she was released, hundreds attended a rally to support her. It even attracted 2 presidential candidates.
I just want to give God the glory. His people have rallied, and you are a strong people.
Some credited Kim Davis for helping Tea Party favorite Matt Bevin win the governor's race. Bevin squeaked by James Comer in the primary by less than 100 votes, and despite polls saying he would lose to Democratic Attorney General Jack Conway, Bevin easily defeated him. As Steve Beshear left the governor's mansion after 2 terms, it's clear Bevin wants to take the state in a different direction.
It was a busy year for Kentucky's 2 U.S. senators. Mitch McConnell took control as Senate Majority Leader, while Rand Paul is running for president and re-election to the Senate at the same time. We lost a Kentucky political icon. Former Governor and U.S. Senator Wendell Ford died at the age of 90. Communications pioneer Paul Gerhardt was also 90 when he died. Actor and Kentucky native James Best died. He was best known as Sheriff Roscoe on The Dukes of Hazzard and was one of the cast members that came to the Black Gold Festival in Hazzard, Kentucky in 1981. Perry County native and legendary folk singer and dulcimer player Gene Ritchie also died in 2015.
And he walks in his garden in the cool of the day. Amen.
Hundreds of Eastern Kentuckians represented by lawyer Eric C. Kahn briefly lost their disability benefits and were later ordered to prove their eligibility. Attorneys for Magoffin County Judge Executive Doc Harden asked the Kentucky Supreme Court to review a decision that would force him out of office due to alleged election fraud. Perry County Clerk Haven King was indicted after a woman who claims he followed her recorded him allegedly harassing her for driving a car with handicap plates. The second SOAR Summit was held, construction continued on the Mountain Parkway, and a massive broadband expansion project was unveiled. Several murder cases remain unsolved. Donnie and Sharon Jackson were found dead in their burned home in Laurel County. Leon and Shirley Jackson were found shot to death near Manchester, just one of several murder investigations in Clay County in 2015. A Prestonsburg police officer and a suspect were shot after a standoff. Both survived. History went up in flames in several towns. A fire burned the old Grand Hotel building in Hazzard, leaving dozens homeless and businesses in ruins. Several businesses and apartments were also destroyed during a fire in downtown Paintsville. And Weaver's Hot Dogs burned in London, but later opened in a different location. Among the stories that left some shaking their heads, mysterious high heels appearing on poles in Bell County, a so-called Muslim-free gun store in Whitesburg, and a streaker pouring milk on himself and running through a Pike County Walmart.
Can anybody find me somebody to love?
Finally, Jordan Smith gave everyone somebody to love as the Harlan County native sang his way to the Voice title and into the hearts of Eastern Kentuckians.
Now, among some of the other headlines across Kentucky in 2015, 9 people died in 2 separate crashes in Clay and Floyd counties just before Christmas. Paintsville Mayor Bob Porter and a former utilities manager were charged with theft late in the year. A 7-year-old girl survived a plane crash in western Kentucky that killed 4. A Richmond police officer was murdered in the line of duty. The state's last Union coal mine shut down in western Kentucky, and the University of Louisville began investigating claims that a staffer got escorts for basketball recruits. Up next, the stories that made headlines around the world in 2015. The mass shooting in San Bernardino, California was one of the biggest stories in the U.S. in 2015. We also saw same-sex marriage become the law of the land. Police and community relations were strained over a number of racially charged shootings. And there was a historic visit by Pope Francis. CBS's Jamie Yukas has a look back at the biggest stories across the country.
The December attack on a holiday party in San Bernardino, California, was the country's worst mass shooting since Sandy Hook Elementary School. 14 people were killed when a radicalized husband and wife team opened fire.
This was an act of terrorism.
Other mass shootings took place at a Lafayette, Louisiana movie theater, a Colorado Springs Planned Parenthood clinic, and a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. The suspect in the church shooting posed with Confederate flags, triggering a backlash that led to the flag's removal from State House grounds. Police-involved deaths of African-American men sparked outrage across the country. In North Charleston, South Carolina, Walter Scott was shot in the back. In Baltimore, Freddie Gray died of spinal injuries in a police van after being taken into police custody. And in Chicago, newly released video of Laquan McDonald's 2014 death touched off community protests and charges of murder against police officers. Liberation! Racial incidents sparked protests on several college campuses, including the University of Missouri, where the president resigned after the football team refused to play. Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Aurora, Colorado movie theater gunman James Holmes were both found guilty. Holmes received 12 life sentences. Tsarnaev got the death penalty. The Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage, prompting celebrations and nuptials nationwide. 2 escaped killers in upstate New York triggered a massive manhunt. 3 weeks later, police shot and killed 1 convict and captured the other. The Freighter ship El Faro and its 33-person crew sank off the Bahamas during a hurricane. 8 people died and more than 200 hurt when a speeding Amtrak train derailed in Philadelphia. California's governor declared a state of emergency as the record drought got worse. And Boston had the most snow ever, more than 110 inches. Pope Francis captivated Americans on his first trip to the States, visiting Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia. The NFL suspended Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady over Deflategate, but a judge later reversed the penalty. Jamie Yukas, CBS News.
In political headlines, the outsiders took the early lead in the crowded GOP race for president. Donald Trump pulled out front with a slew of controversial comments, including a ban on Muslim immigrants and a wall to keep Mexicans from crossing the border. House Speaker John Boehner called it quits. Congressman Paul Ryan reluctantly stepped up to take his job. And the Supreme Court upheld a key part of the Affordable Care Act that provides health insurance subsidies to all qualifying Americans. Islamic terrorists launched deadly attacks in Europe and beyond, and thousands of migrants died trying to escape war-torn countries. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti has a look back at the biggest international events of 2015.
Terrorists targeted Paris twice. Gunmen linked to al-Qaeda stormed the newsroom of the provocative newspaper Charlie Hebdo, killing 12 people. Another attacker killed 4 hostages at a Jewish supermarket before police killed him. 10 months later, ISIS terrorists massacred people inside a concert hall, while others set off bombs outside a soccer stadium and gunned down people sitting at cafes. 130 were killed. ISIS claimed another 224 lives when a bomb exploded on a Russian jetliner as it flew over Egypt. The latest round of terror comes as ISIS seizes more territory in Syria and Iraq. The U.S. and its allies launched airstrikes against the terror group, and America sent in 200 special forces. Refugees rushed to get out of the war-torn region. Nearly 1 million migrants escaped to countries like Hungary and Germany. Thousands died trying, including this Syrian toddler who drowned. ISIS-backed attackers also struck twice in Tunisia, killing 22 people in a national museum and gunning down dozens of tourists sunbathing in a resort town.
This was a tragic but avoidable accident.
There was international outrage after the U.S. carried out an airstrike against the Taliban in Afghanistan and mistakenly hit a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 30 people. More than 2,000 people died in the annual Hajj pilgrimage, the deadliest stampede ever. Tensions remained high in Israel as Palestinians carried out a wave of stabbing attacks on Jews. A 7.9 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal, killing more than 9,000 people and injuring 23,000. A suicidal pilot slammed a Germanwings plane into the French Alps, killing all 150 people on board. The mystery of the missing Malaysia Flight 370 was solved when a wing washed up off the coast of Africa. World leaders agreed on a climate change deal to get nearly all countries to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions scientists say are warming the planet. And Britain welcomed Prince William and Kate's second child, Princess Charlotte. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, London.
Up next, we remember some of those we lost in 2015 and a look back at the top entertainment headlines as our Year in Review special continues. Another changing of the guard on late night, The Force Awakens, and Adele breaks records with a simple hello. CBS's Suzanne Marquez takes a look back at the Year in Entertainment.
Olympic athlete turned reality TV star Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner.
It's about all of us accepting one another.
Charlie Sheen revealed he has the AIDS virus.
I'm here to admit that I am in fact HIV positive.
Sheen says he was diagnosed 4 years ago, around the time he was fired from the hit CBS sitcom 2.5 Men for his erratic behavior. More than 50 women came forward with accusations of sexual abuse against Bill Cosby dating back decades. Cosby denies the allegations. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner broke up after 10 years of marriage. Rockers Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale also called it quits, but she quickly rebounded with a romance with Blake Shelton, who split from his wife Miranda Lambert. Jennifer Aniston, Cameron Diaz, and Sofia Vergara all got married. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West welcomed their second child, and Sandra Bullock adopted her second. Jennifer Lawrence became the highest paid actress, but criticized Hollywood for still paying her male co-stars more.
Turn your weapons.
She also wrapped up the final installment of the Hunger Games series. Viola Davis became the first African American to win an Emmy for Best Actress in a Drama. And ballerina Misty Copeland became the first female principal dancer with the American Ballet Theater. The smash hit musical Hamilton brought hip-hop to Broadway with a multiracial cast performing the life of founding father Alexander Hamilton. Taylor Swift took on Apple over not paying artists during a 3-month free trial of its streaming service and won. And Adele's long-awaited third album, 25, became the top-selling album of the year in its first week. David Letterman signed off after 33 years of late-night television.
Thank you for everything. You've given me everything.
Stephen Colbert took over as host of The Late Show.
Nothing will stand in our way.
And a blast from the past broke box office records. Members of the original cast of Star Wars reunited for Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Suzanne Marquez, CBS News.
Former New York Governor Mario Cuomo, baseball icon Yogi Berra, and music legend B.B. King are among the entertainers and leaders we lost this year. Here's a look back at the notable deaths of 2015. From the spring to the fall, we continued our Backroads series, taking you to interesting places across eastern Kentucky and surrounding states. WYMT meteorologist Allison Rogers has a recap and a look back at some funny moments you haven't seen.
So from day one of my time here at WYMT, I heard so many good things about the area, but then I also heard people claiming that there isn't much to do here. Well, as many of you know, Brandon Orr made it his goal to show people all of the things to do throughout eastern Kentucky through a series called Backroads. And I was lucky enough to sort of inherit this treasure of a segment when I joined the WYMT team. And I have seen firsthand that there's a lot to do here. Brandon kicked the season off on a pretty exciting note. Then I came into the mix and joined in on a few of the episodes with Brandon, and that's when we went camping. And a lot of people asked if we actually stayed the night in the tents overnight, and the answer is yes, of course we did. We had to make it authentic. And this was also when we went to Just Kickin' It Ranch Outfitters, and we went kayaking and caving, and we played with puppies. Then it was time for me to find my own adventures in the area. We went to the birthplace of Country Music Museum in Bristol, Tennessee, and then we went ziplining, we went boating, we went golfing, mountain biking, venturing through a castle, toured a place where Kentucky's tastiest tradition is made. It's been quite the season. One of my favorite episodes was Summit City Lounge, but not only because I got to interview one of the members of LA Guns, but that's where we met Van, and he had quite the story.
The hat is just it's a trophy. Last year when the Guns were here, I never got the drummer, and he promised to sign my hat tonight.
I was there when he finally got the drummer's signature on the hat, and to see how excited he was when he got that signature, that was amazing. And a few of the episodes did test my coordination skills. When we went to Stonecrest Golf Course, I was determined to get a hole-in-one, and it took a long time, but I finally got it, and when I did, I was very excited. Oh my God! And then there was a mountain biking episode. That was another one that tested my coordination skills. Professional mountain biker Josh Patton took us through the mountains of Laurel County in a way that I never thought I'd have the chance to do. But I'm so glad I did, because the experience as a whole was so rewarding, just like the show has been. This series has given me the chance to meet so many wonderful people. But of course, while filming the season, I did make a couple of mistakes, so I will leave you guys with a few of the bloopers. Of course, that's so unique, it can only be weathering your we're now taking the back roads to this episode's of Backroads. So if you decide to come out here to Nancy, Kentucky and check out, believe it or not, they've been providing, oh man, all right. Go ahead.
Peace to all of yous.
Thank you, Allison. Well, up next, we'll wrap things up with some of our favorite sports memories of 2015. So much for joining us tonight. We're going to leave you with a look back at some of the sports highlights of 2015, from 2 Mountain State football titles to the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years. WYMT's Jamie McCracken shares with us a year full of memories. Thanks for making us your source for news, and we'll see you back here in 2016.
Coming to the finish, American Pharoah and Victor Espinoza have won the Kentucky Derby!
No opening night in college basketball anywhere compares to opening night at Rupp Arena, college basketball's winningest program.
No good, jammed in on the follow by Cauley Stein.
Cauley Stein with a spectacular slam. The Kentucky Wildcats finish the regular season 31-0.
The national championship, Calipari has to get it done.
Say goodnight. Lyles, Kentucky leads.
Right side front court with 2, with 1. Lewis up, missed it, and the Wisconsin Badgers have made it to Monday night.
If you've decided to put your name in the draft, why don't you stand up? Really? All right, there you go.
And American Pharoah
2015 Miss Kentucky Basketball.
Morris again sits her feet and buries another.
2015 Mr. Kentucky Basketball, Cameron Justice.
Justice widens the lead. A three for Cameron Justice.
Cash Daniel, the big lefty and UK commit, looking for the end zone, trying to get there. Cash is in! These Tigers do have 9 lives.
At Comets, my 5 guys up front, they're the biggest, they're the meanest, they're the nastiest offensive linemen up down in this region. I guarantee you that.
The 37-year wait is over. American Pharaoh is finally the one. American Pharaoh has won the Triple Crown.
South Laurel senior shortstop and University of Tennessee signee Daniel Neal has been named 2015 Kentucky Mr. Baseball.
Coach Mack won one as a player, and now he won one as a coach. It means everything to this town, this community, this team.
I tell you, it feels great. I'm so happy for our kids and coaches and our community. You know, you never go into a state championship game thinking anything like this.
American Pharaoh comes into his final furlong, and he's got a 6-length lead as they come to the wire. A Triple Crown winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime. American Pharaoh has won the Breeders' Cup Classic over FNX and Honor Code in a final time of 2 minutes, .07 seconds. He went out and